My thanks go through our watchful eye of John Wysocki, my city administrator, Brian Pabst, and I'm the last guy, but I have the last eye. We've done the best we can do to date. Can we do better? We will. We will do better. Let me say that our long-term debt refinance, we were able to maintain our A- bond rating because several of us, including myself, Brian Pabst, John Wysocki, Tony Griffin from our Berwyn Development Corporation, I'm sure I'm missing a couple, our financial advisor, Dan Denny's, we went downtown and met with Standard & Poor's face-to-face, and we presented a clear and concise budget plan for 2010, showing the cuts that we were anticipating for salaries, showing the cuts to the expenses that we anticipated, and a long-term plan to sustain a viable budget. With that, we were able to maintain our A- rating. That's what allowed us to conduct phase 3 of our 4-state phase long-term debt refinancing. We have one more phase to go, and we're anticipating going into that with the same bond rating so that we can get the best rates available so that we can spread out our long-term debt at a lower dollar amount than what we're paying right now. This is debt, folks, that's been accumulated for many years, for many projects that have been done here in the city. We're the ones that are faced with making a $12 million payment in December of '09 that we did not have. Were we not able to do this refinance? So again, I thank the people that went downtown with me and spent many hours, especially John Wysocki, in presenting a clear and concise plan for Standard & Poor's. So I thank you, gentlemen and ladies, that went with us. For 2010, we have a balanced budget. In March, we passed a balanced budget, due mainly to the hard work of our finance department and our aldermanic budget committee, as well as our city staff and all of our employees. Some of the changes, some of these savings that we had, we were able to receive from all our employees, union and non-union, a 10% give back on the insurance premiums for this upcoming year. That amounts to about $600,000 in savings over the next 12 months. In addition, our city employees graciously volunteered by a simple email sent out to me to give a minimum of 2-day furloughs, unpaid days. They volunteered. There was no demand. They volunteered. That saved us close to $150,000 from our 2010 budget for the first 6 months of this year. The fire department, the police department, near 100% cooperation with that, but instead of taking the days off, they worked. They worked. The police department gave up their uniform expense, and the fire department did similar give-ups to equate to the 2-day furloughs, and they all worked. So we did not take away from our essential services with our furlough program. One of the pledges I made was to cut expenses, balance the budget, but not lay off city employees. I refuse to lay off city employees simply because it's my firm belief to lay off city employees only does a disservice to our tax-paying residents, because city services will suffer if we have to lay people off. So I refuse to do that. And you can see the cooperation that I've received from all our employees. So when I say that this city is working together, I truly mean it. Right now, with about 40% of the year gone, our expenses are only at 29% of what we've budgeted to this date. We've only spent 29% of what we budgeted for this first half of the year. Our revenues are meeting the projections, the overall projections that we predicted for 2010. Regardless, and sir, I use the word regardless properly, that's my English professor. Regardless of the fact that we've received $0 from the state for the state income tax, and we've only received January and February sales tax receipts because of their accrual period. So regardless of not receiving that money for this time, our overall revenues are at what we projected. So 2010 promises that we're going to stay on target. And hopefully our expenses will continue to stay down and we will bring ourselves back up. In addition, what we have vowed not to do is rely on the water fund or motor fuel tax to balance our general fund. Because something happens in our 100-year-old water mains, something happens in our 100-year-old streets, we will not have the funds to take care of those. So we have vowed not to touch those funds, something that Alderman Chapman's been yelling about for years. We vowed not to touch those funds so that those pools can build back up to be used the way they're supposed to be used in the cases of emergency in those areas. Brian, did I hit everything on the budget? John, did I miss anything? John, folks, once again, I really need you to recognize John Wysocki because Brian's really good at budgets, and I was a budget chairman for many years, and we've got, like I said, a terrific city council that watches the dollars, but without John's expertise, we would really have some problems. So John, I thank you from the bottom of my heart. Further to go on with savings, we were able to complete our fire department contract, and with that came the restructuring of our fire department. First of all, what we did was we have made our department more professional than it already is, which is a tough task to do. And the new firefighters coming on in the future will be more skilled than has been required in the past. And that's because we are now conducting our own paramedic services. We scratched the outside contract, which was costing us $1.27 million a year, and we turned it over to our fire department. We'll be putting more firemen on. Yes, we will. But we've crunched the numbers, and with the hard work from our fire union members, as well as our chief, who guided me through this, we're going to be saving money in the long run. One other item, and I'm going to turn it over to Chief O'Halloran. We've also increased our ISO rating, and I'm going to have the chief explain that. But the ISO rating is the rating that communities receive. We went from a 4 to a 2, which is unheard of, to jump that high, which saves a little for you as residents on your homeowner's insurance, but mainly saves on commercial insurance policies for our business here in town.